You're now listening to MarkWHO42 from the Whoniverse and beyond.
Reading is fun, but I know a lot of you out there don't have a lot of time to spare to read. But you do drive your car to go from place to place, and that's why you should get audiobooks. Audiobooks like the ones they have at Audible. Hi, I'm Mark Baumgarten, host of MarkWHO42. If you are interested in reading fiction, non-fiction, Doctor Who titles, Audible has 180,000 titles, actually more than that, for you to choose from to get your reading done in an auditorial fashion. Go to audibletrial.com/MarkWHO42 and get a free month's membership. And there's a special deal right now where you can get 2 free downloads of audiobooks. And you can download any audiobook that's on their site. So go to audibletrial.com/MarkWHO42 and take advantage of this free offer. If you enjoy your audiobook, you can stay with them and only pay $14.95 a month. You'll get another download, and you'll be, again, a member of them, where you'll be able to get low rates on Audible books. So, once again, go to audibletrial.com/MarkWHO42 and read. Or rather, listen. That's a good Doctor Who phrase. Listen.
Hello there, this is Dee Sadler. I played Flowerchild in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, talking to MarkWHO42, and that's who you're listening to. That rhymes.
Welcome to MarkWHO42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me today are...
Iggy Matthews, what's up?
Hi, Iggy.
What's up?
You had a fun party last night, but we can't talk about that. Who else do we have?
It was very passionate.
Oh, I wish I could have been there. This is Patricia Fryer. I would have loved to have gone to your party, Iggy.
It was fun.
No, we don't want to talk about that party right now. This is a family-friendly show. Who else do we have?
I'm back.
Oh, God, he's back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, I guess he's back. Who are you that we let you back?
Eduardo M. Fryer. Fresh from another live episode of Keeping It Reals, where we did some Disney movie magic and some great impressions that will probably get me beaten up by Disney security next time I walk into a park.
I'll make sure they hit a recording for you, and don't worry about that. It'll happen.
Oh, it was a live show, so somebody probably heard.
Oh, someone heard it?
Sure.
No, they were probably working in the parks. They probably weren't listening. They can't listen.
Oh, no, I'm sure somebody heard it. I'm going to walk into the park, and all of a sudden, there's going to be Mickey standing there with a couple of, Disney guards. I heard you make fun of me on your show!
Oh, my God, we're not doing this! We're not doing this! We're not doing this.
Oh, the bell's gone off. You know what that means? It's time for... MarkWHO42 News with anchor person Iggy Matthews. Iggy, what's going on in the world of Doctor Who and MarkWHO42 for that matter?
Well, starting off with some very controversial and interesting news. Have you guys heard of the issues that our beloved Ninth Doctor, Chris Eccleston, is going through?
I guess that he went through, because I think the situation has changed now, and that's why he's talking about it. But go ahead, tell everyone.
Well, there was an interview done with Chris Eccleston where he was talking to, I believe the site is called The Guardian. So he says, what happened around Doctor Who almost destroyed my career. I gave them a hit show, and I left with dignity, and they put me on a blacklist. I was carrying my own insecurities as it was something I had never done before, and then I was abandoned, vilified in the tabloid press, and blacklisted. He continues to say, I was told by my agent at the time, the BBC regime is against you. You're going to have to get out of the country and wait for the regime to change. So I went away to America, and I kept on working because that is what my parents instilled in me. So
he went away and he did great, wonderful movies like G.I. Joe and Thor, and those were actually not great movies, were they?
No.
I'm sorry. I know you like G.I. Joe, Ed, but the one that
eye candy.
Hey, you know what? I'm not. Yeah. G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra had its issues. I thought that, and honestly, I thought Eccleston would make a great Destro, and there were seeds of it. I think it's just,
but they never
other things, and then as far as Thor was concerned, I think what screwed up that is the fact that we probably could have gotten a lot more from his character Malachi.
In my opinion, his character Malachi, he was so made up, and he had to do a voice. It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be him.
Yeah. Well, no. The other problem though, Mark, is that is that the first Thor movie came out, and you had Tom Hiddleston just killing it as Loki. That with Dark World, they wanted to focus more on Loki because everybody's here for Loki because they saw Avengers, they saw the first Thor movie, and Chris Eccleston's character just got the short end of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
mostly Loki.
Yeah, but this is definitely one of those situations where it's unfortunate, but I do ask everybody to bear in mind that there are contracts that are signed by both actor and production company. So at this point, we've only gotten one side of the story. And, so typically contracts are done, they include things like NDAs, and they include tenure, and they include service, and they include, just a variety of different things. And if Chris, in one of those, wanting to get out, breached any one of those, then yes, that's part of what could happen, because we literally had this conversation with my friends not that long ago. Like, if you're an actor and you're popular like Tom Cruise and you don't want to do a movie anymore, can't you just throw the middle finger and just walk away? Theoretically, yes. But the side effects of things like that is that nobody's going to hire you because you're not trustworthy. We literally are putting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into a production, and you just wasted it all. Now we have to find a new actor and discard all the things that we have filmed. So I mean, we're still only getting one side of things, and it is
we're only getting one side.
And
the reason I said that it's kind of over is because the Blacklist is over. He's now doing a production for BBC again. So see, it's like all is forgiven on the BBC side, but maybe not on
the regime is over. But it's still puzzling that he wasn't invited back for the 50th anniversary.
He was invited back. He was invited back by Moffat, but BBC may not have wanted him.
Well, I think the story with the 50th though is he was invited back, and after talking with Moffat, apparently he was just like, okay, no, I don't. Like, I really don't feel like coming back.
Left a bad taste in the mouth.
Exactly.
PTSD.
Now the thing is, the thing about what you were saying is, there are contracts and there's stuff like that, and we've only heard one side of the story. Although it's interesting because this feels like it happened right after he left. So as far as I know, I think the only thing really where he kind of messed up is in the fact that he actually said before I think the season was up that he was leaving. So that did
he said he was leaving. He said he was leaving before the first episode had even aired.
Yeah,
they already knew.
I think there was that story where
there was that story where they whoever brought David Tennant over to watch the first episode and said, "Oh, by the way, he's leaving. We want you to pick up where he left off."
The week before Doctor Who started with Christopher Eccleston, there was a documentary on the history of Doctor Who narrated by David Tennant. They already knew they were hiring him before the show came on. So he must have told the BBC before he announced it to the press. David Tennant probably was already sidelined for Doctor Who.
Yeah, which is a
before the first
problem
episode came out.
because, the Doctor Who franchise doesn't typically like to do one season of a Doctor and then find another. They like to extend this out and have it be a nice story. So obviously there is an entire can of worms that hasn't even been explored, because if you were to get BBC's side on things, and BBC is really good about keeping quiet, they just, they move on from their problems onto the next. But the moral of the story, guys, is that BBC is a lot like Wu-Tang Clan. It ain't nothing to mess with. Okay, so if you ever work for BBC, make sure you adhere well to the contracts, and they'll do right by you. You can take Matt Smith and David Tennant as an example, which, by the way, Matt Smith released some photography of his new modeling stuff. It's rather nice. It's really nice. Anyways, but they're prospering rather well. And I'm sure Peter Capaldi will as well. So it can either make you or break you. And in Chris Eccleston's version, it ended up almost destroying his career. And I'm almost willing to say that it's because of contract things. This is not what we had agreed to do, Chris. So what are you doing saying that you need to leave? Well, the way my bank account is set up with my family, and it's like, yeah, we understand that. However, this is your job. You still gonna do this? Yeah. You understand what we're gonna do? So that's what it sounds like to me. And it is unfortunate that he had to go through that. But this is show business. It's not a nice place.
Yeah. Well, we also have to remember that they said, oh, yeah, we love you as a Doctor, but can you tone down your natural accent? Because we don't think it sounds smart.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
There was that. So we can't just like throw that away and be like, oh, okay, nothing happened. It was just, it was.
But again, it comes down to show business.
Yeah.
It comes down, maybe you shouldn't have said like, oh, it doesn't sound smart, but definitely, they have the right to be like, no, don't talk like this and don't walk like this. Don't dress like that. Don't even breathe this way, and stop blinking with alternative eyes and blink like a normal person. Okay. It's really setting off the vibe wrong. They can do that, so it's just, that's the thing about working in show business. You are just a body that they're transforming into whatever character they desire. You have to fit that bill. And if you're not fitting that bill, well, either fix it or we're going to have problems.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir here, Iggy.
But there was one thing that I think Patricia had mentioned off air, was that you thought that it was vindictive.
Yes. Well, no, it's
Why?
It's vindictive because I feel like they just, it seems to be in Hollywood. We're seeing this all over the place with Weinstein, and we're hearing about it from everything, usually from a female perspective, that you deny these guys anything and they're going to do everything they can to screw your career. Mm-hmm. So why would it be any different over there?
Yeah, I don't think that it would be any different over there, but it's definitely how show business does retain their power and retain, because at the end of the day, it's all about money. At the end of the day, it's not about how good the show was, it's about money. So if you are making good profit, then likely they're going to up their content. So it is unfortunate, and I'm glad that things got settled for Chris Eccleston, but to actually read this and and see it, it's like, holy shenanigans. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
But going on a more lighter side of things, the next article that I have is about our new Doctor, Jodie, and her companions.
Yay, Jodie!
Yay, Jodie!
Yay!
Jodie!
So it seems that the new Doctor Who boss that we have now, Chris Chibnall, help me because I cannot say that last name.
Chibnall.
Chibnall?
Chibnall?
Chipmunk. Okay.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Chipmunk. Okay. So the whole point is that he wants to bring Doctor Who back to its 1960s roots, when Sidney Newman intended it to be an educational series for children. Now, obviously, we're not going to go right back to that, but he's trying to make it to where we are having it to be as educational as it is entertaining. And for example, one of the things that they are going to be trying to put into the plot is they're going to come face to face with American civil rights activist Rosa Parks. And as we know, she famously refused to give up her seat on the bus for a white passenger, sparking the beginning of the end for segregation.
Yeah.
And from there, I believe we have
In America.
Indian.
In America.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that they're going to be learning about, what is it, Marco Polo, the Aztecs, the Crusades, the French Revolution.
No, those are the ones that they met with William Hartnell at the beginning. Those
yes,
those are the types of stories that they're going to do.
Going to be, yes, these are the type of feel that they're going to be going for. One of them being the, going back to India, and one of the companions is going to be learning about her family roots. So that one I feel like is going to be really interesting, because we might have an awakening of like, oh my God, this is my heritage. I had no idea. And I mean, and that right there is so, has anybody done the Ancestry.com stuff where you submit your DNA and then they read it and then they give you back, like what exactly is in your DNA and where do you come from? And I had done one of those. And, I knew that I was Native American. I just didn't know how much. I thought I was like maybe just a little bit. Turns out I'm 16%, which blew my mind.
That means you get money.
But it's definitely one of those situations where it's like, oh my God, I had no idea that I come from such rich and powerful people, like such rich history. So that one I'm looking forward to seeing and finding out about, because it's always like a very good, like one of those eating chicken soup by the fire, comfortable, warm stories. I don't know. I just feel like maybe Ancestry.com is going to have a high flow after that episode airs. Like, man, I want to find out my heritage too. Mm-hmm. Come to find out that the most notable thing your family did, well, they built boats. It's not quite as cool with a doctor's companion, but we built boats.
We built boats.
There you go. We built boats.
It depends on the type of boat.
You didn't build the Titanic, did you?
Well, if I did, that would explain why my life always keeps falling apart to pieces and only one thing sticks out.
Aww.
Don't awe me. It's relatable.
Okay.
It's relatable.
Okay.
Hey, we're not saying it is. We just want to give you a big hug and be like,
oh,
you feel that way.
Group hug. Oh, pat. All right.
Oh, depression. Why? Anyways, but that is what I have for you today.
Okay, there is another story on MarkWHO42, and
you always do this to me. You always do.
Well, no. It's the fact that, well, as you can see from the title of the episode today, this is MarkWHO42. This is the greatest show in the galaxy, Part 1. And the reason we're doing that is because we have Dee Sadler on as a guest, who was Flowerchild on the greatest show of the galaxy, the Doctor Who story with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred as Ace. But the other reason we're calling it that is because we're saying goodbye soon. Mark, after 6 years of doing this show, producing, directing, editing, starring, I need a rest, guys. And so we've got two more episodes. This episode and next week's episode with Jessica Martin, who played Mags on The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. That's going to be part 2. And then we're also going to have a special live episode on April 1st. Now, yes, that's April Fool's Day, so you think it's a joke. It's not a joke. It's the actual 6th anniversary of the day we put MarkWHO42 on Facebook, Trish and I. And so we're doing a live show, and we're going to have John Davey, who's the man behind all the Doctor Who monsters. Isn't that right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to have this show and the one more show and the live show for you, and then we're going to take a break. We are going to come back. We are. But I don't know when yet. I'm hoping before the new season starts, because we love to do reviews here at MarkWHO42.
Oh, yes, we do.
And we want to give you our impressions on Jodie Whittaker and the rest of the cast and Chris Chibnall. So hopefully I'm pretty sure we'll be back by then. But for right now, MarkWHO42, April 1st is going to be the last show live. and then it'll be on the podcast version. Now, this is not to say that MarkWHO42 is going away. MarkWHO42, the website will stay open, and we will still host all our podcasts everywhere that they've been. They will still be at, so you can listen to our old shows. We will have new news on the website, not just Doctor Who, other science fiction as well. And we may have some other little things coming up. Maybe a live show for no reason once in a while. But yeah, that's the big news of MarkWHO42 today. And you know, it's you know, and
It's
a lot of people have,
Mark.
yeah.
It's understandable. You know, I understand, and I'm sure everybody else understands. Yeah, so you know, a lot of people might not understand just how much work you put into this show.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of hours of editing and finding guests and organizing a show and all that stuff. It's a lot of work.
It takes a lot out of you. To be honest, I probably would have done this hiatus 2 years ago, to be honest, but I kept pushing, and I can't push anymore. My you know, it's just it's getting harder to fit this in with my regular job, and it just it's just I need a break. So we are going to be taking a break from new episodes after April 1st. Krypton Radio, you're listening to us, and we won't be on Krypton Radio anymore because we won't have new episodes, but they'll find a replacement for us that's a decent show, and I've been promised by Gene Turnbow that when we come back with weekly episodes, that he will find a place for us back on Krypton Radio. So if you listen to us there, you're listening to us now, we will be back there too. Okay. So yeah, that's enough of that. We don't need to talk anymore about that.
I'm gonna miss this, but it's you know, I know we're gonna come back.
We're gonna come back.
We will be back.
We will be back. In fact, on the live episode, I will do my reenactment. I will do the monologue that Wim Hartnell does just for Susan at the end of Dalek Invasion of Earth. I will be doing that. Not in his voice. I know Ed would love to do that because Ed does a great First Doctor voice, and he's done the monologue before. But I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I've you know what? I've done it before, and
so I'm going to do that.
And this is, you know what? And this is your last. This is your last. You know, this is going to be the live show is going to be the last show. So you know what? You deserve to do it. Now, of course, if you want me to, you know, turn around and do maybe Sylvester McCoy's ending speech for Survival.
Maybe I'll let you do that. Maybe I'll give you that. Maybe I'll give you that.
Do that too. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but personally, I would like to do the speech about unlimited rice pudding, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, but I don't think it would fit with.
It wouldn't. Well, no, it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit the storyline. Okay.
Yeah. No. Unless we can get Terry Malloy to come on. I mean, you know.
Well, funny you should mention. So I said on the live show we're going to have John Davey, the man behind the monsters of Doctor Who, but at the very end of the show we're going to have another guest come on and say goodbye to us. Another friend of the show. Who that will be? Well, maybe we'll tell you next week. Yeah, we'll actually have two guests on the very last the first and last live episode for a while. Okay, that's all the news I think we have. We're going to take we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have Dee Sadler, Flowerchild, from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, proving that MarkWHO42 is the greatest show in the galaxy. We'll be right back after this.
This segment of MarkWHO42 has been sponsored by Cosplay Convention Center. You can find more information by clicking the link on MarkWHO42.net. They are a database for cosplayers, for anyone who works in the convention limelight. If you're looking for us, we're there. They have a database that narrows down where we're going to be. If you're looking for Doctor Who conventions in your area, this is a place to look. If you're looking for certain people going to conventions, you can find them there too. This database is amazing, and it's wonderful to use if you need to find out about your favorite genre, your favorite podcasts, your favorite professional cosplayers. Check out the Cosplay Guide. Again, you can find their link on MarkWHO42.net.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
MarkWHO42 is proud to have Famous Faces and Funnies as a sponsor of our show. They have literally tons and tons of comic books, novelties, and everything. They're located off of 3020 New Haven Avenue in West Melbourne. If you want to give them a call, let them MarkWHO42 sent you. You can call them at 321-258-3575. But they are a huge store. I mean, you've seen comic stores, but this one is kind of like the Costco of comic stores. They have tons of merchandise. It's incredible. You can go from one store, then there's another section and another section. They have tons and tons of stuff there for you to buy. If you have any geekdom out there, Famous Faces and Funnies has got it. Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, everything. Rick, the guy who runs it, real great guy. You definitely want to check out Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida. Hey, Iggy.
Yes.
I know that you started watching Doctor Who as a newbie, with the new show, but have you gotten a chance to watch all 7 classic Doctors in action?
I have not.
Well, you can find the most complete collection of Doctor Who ever broadcast in the U.S. on Retro TV.
Shut the front door. Are you serious?
I'm serious, and you don't even need cable for this. This is over-the-air television. You have an HD antenna. You can watch around the country Retro TV. Many of the stories have been remastered and enhanced from their original film and videotape elements, so they come out beautifully perfect in HD.
Mind blown.
It's free. You just have to go to your TV and find Retro TV, and you can watch all the great Doctor Who. They show 2 episodes Monday through Friday, and they show more than that.
I think I shall get my pajamas and my Ben and Jerry's then.
And recently they've added news stories. Not news stories as in like they've made new stories, but news stories that they haven't had in rotation, such as several Patrick Troughton tales that weren't on before. They're adding them to them. So there's more to watch because, those new stories became available. Web of Fear and Enemy of the World. So they've added things like that.
Oh my, I'm excited.
So don't forget to go and look for Retro TV and watch Doctor Who. You can go to RetroTV.com and look for their schedule for exactly when Doctor Who is on in your area.
I'm logging in as we speak.
Hi, this is Norman Lovett, who played Holly in the sci-fi sitcom Red Dwarf. And
this is Danny John Jules. I'm the cat from Red Dwarf and Dwayne from Death in Paradise. And you are listening to MarkWHO42.
Welcome back to MarkWHO42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me, of course, is Eduardo M. Fryer. I don't know why I say of course, because he's just back from a long absence.
I got to do Keeping It Reels. That's a live.
Yeah, you're
that's a
doing
live
Keeping
show.
It Reels, and you are keeping
Absolutely.
it real. Iggy Matthews is here too.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. And with us, we have our very special guest. She is known to Doctor Who fans as Flowerchild from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred in classic Doctor Who. It's Dee Sadler.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Do you like
a
Dee
very
or do you
snowy
go with
Britain.
Deborah? Which is better?
Dee is fine. Lots of people call me Dee Dee. I love Deborah, but I don't like Debbie quite so much.
Okay.
So apologies to all Debbies out there, but it's just a kind of, a personal thing.
right.
So yeah, no, Dee is fine.
So, Dee Dee, for the fans out there who don't know who you are, can you tell them a little about yourself?
Okay, I was born in Yorkshire quite a long time ago. Well, no, not that long, but long enough. And my father was in the army, so I travelled about a lot when I was younger. And I went to drama school in North London, a place called the Drama Centre. I was there, can I name drop? I was there with Colin Firth. He was a year below me.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's every bit as gorgeous and as lovely as you think he would be.
Of course he is.
Of
course he is.
He was like that at 19, and he's still the same guy
Of
now.
course. Of course he is.
Yes. So there we go. And then after I left drama school, I had the usual bout of waitressing and working in cocktail bars. And then I got a job out of the blue. I got Oh, and I was a pizza waitress and did telephone sales and all of those things that, we all do starting out. And then I was offered out of the blue a brand new situation comedy for the BBC called No Place Like Home. Yeah. And it ran for about 5 years. The premise was it was about 4 grown-up children who still lived at home, aged between 19 and 24. And the father was always trying to get rid of them, and the mother desperately wanted them to stay. And they had some crazy next-door neighbours who kept lots of pets.
And you played Tracy, if I remember correctly.
I played Tracy, the youngest. Yes. Actually, I think the youngest was a brother played by Martin Clunes.
Oh, I love Martin Clunes. So drop again. We're name dropping like crazy.
I'm sorry, I am here, aren't I? Do you remember the Champions then, back in the 60s?
Yes, I do. Well, I actually have the DVD set, yeah.
Do you really? Well, the father was played by William Gaunt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's another name drop. So I was in that for about 5 years, and that's what Jonathan Nathan Turner used to watch. And that's why he called me in at the end of that series. It had actually just finished when he called me in to read for Flowerchild. So, yeah, he was a bit of a fan. There we go. Yeah. Of the sitcom.
Of the sitcom, yeah. He was a bit of a fan of Doctor Who, too. I mean,
a huge fan, I think. He loved it very much. He was one of life's real enthusiasts. He was very funny, very wicked, and great company, I have to say.
So Jonathan Turner, he hired you because he liked you in No Place Like Home. He put you in a part that it was kind of a small part as Flowerchild. You were really only in part 1 of the story.
That's right, yeah. I think in all I had about 4 lines, but,
But you remembered forever.
Absolutely.
4 lines and you remembered forever.
Absolutely. It was just quite incredible, yeah.
You know what? I got to admit, I was saddened to see Flowerchild go, especially just so quickly, because I was rooting for her. I was rooting for her and her man. I was like, yeah,
absolutely.
I was like, come on, let him get away. Come on,
come on. It would have been good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I was sad to go after 5 glorious days out on location with that lovely lot. That great cast.
They filmed that episode in the car park because of the asbestos scare, if I remember correctly.
They filmed a lot of the
circus part, but you went. Your part was in a quarry.
That's right. I was in the infamous sand quarry. Yeah, so I never actually got to go in the studio or the car park either. Come to that, because my job was done. I was only ever on location.
Right.
So so I missed out on all that excitement and sort of
And it was a horrible death. Horrible. Oh.
Wasn't nice, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Did you see the robot that came to the convention?
Last
month?
I saw that, Kelly.
It was wonderful seeing it. Yeah. Yes. No, it wasn't pleasant. Yeah.
Wait! They had the robot conductor at the convention?
Robot conductor was there.
The head.
The head was there.
Head.
Oh yeah! No, I saw the head.
Oh, you saw the head.
I saw the head. No, I saw the head. I'm sorry. I thought somebody actually brought the entire robot. I was going to be like, oh man.
Oh, if only they should have brought the actor who played him, who was inside the costume for some of it. That would have been fun. But I don't think he was available or something. I'm not quite sure.
I know they were supposed to bring the ringmaster. He was supposed to come, but something
Rico
happened
Ross,
at the last.
That's right. Yeah. I did meet him. I met him a couple of years before we shot that, even though he wouldn't have been on location. But I inadvertently gate crashed a party he threw in London some years before. So I have met him, and he is a sweetheart. He's very, very gracious and lovely and talented. So it would have been nice to see him and remind him of that. But yeah, there's the breaks.
Now you also did an episode of Pie in the Sky.
I did, yeah. I played a reporter in that. That was a cough and a spit. Yeah.
Yeah, but one show that you did that I don't remember. I think it was a small part. Another small part. Ultraviolet, the miniseries. That was a good show. You were a stewardess on that, weren't you?
I was, but we couldn't. In the end, I was hardly in it in the end.
Yeah, I know.
Because the storyline had to be cut because I think there was some kind of emergency alert at the last minute. We were supposed to be filming on a plane in Stansted Airport, if memory serves, or it might have been somewhere else. Anyway, certain scenes had to be scrapped. So,
wow.
it would have been fun. So there we go. But yeah, no, it was excellent series.
You took a break from television in 2001 when you did your last episode of The Bill. What have you been doing since then?
Since then, I stood back a bit because my son was growing up. He's now a film editor.
Oh, wow. I love doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a media boy. Also, I have to say, he's a very, very good actor as well. But there we go. He doesn't want to do it, and I'm secretly quite pleased. What I did was I learned how to write a bit. And I worked a lot with new writers. I did lots of local plays with new writers. I formed my own production company, learned how to produce a bit, but I didn't really like that very much. And carried on just doing, flew in under the radar, really.
Right.
Still did voiceovers and, theatre here, there and everywhere, But yes, I've never stopped.
Well, theatre's important.
Doing stuff.
Theatre's definitely important to do.
Hugely important, and it's what I love doing best, really, like most actors do, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's a wonderful process, and the result is fantastic, and, it's fabulous, and the connection and the energy that you get from an audience is kind of second to none, really, so, yeah, absolutely. I'll be doing a play later on this year, but I haven't been, it's not official yet, so I can't really. I can't talk about it and jinx it.
Okay.
If you don't mind,
Yes, we don't want you to jinx that. No. Iggy's been quiet.
I have been actively listening because as she's talking, I have been looking through her filmography, and I have to say I'm rather impressed because you're so humble. You are just so sweet and humble, and what gets me is, you talk about like the hard work and, just literally your story is just that of perseverance. You just got to keep trying. And, you get the one and then you get a second chance and then you get another chance. And then before you know it, here we are.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, what is, as a female in that time, and, you're obviously busting your cheeks there to be able to accomplish a dream. What would you say was the hardest yet most gratifying thing that you did in your career?
Wowzers, that's the hardest but most gratifying thing that I've done is to stick with it. I think it's the tenacity that any performer, person, anybody really has kind of to go through. It's picking yourself up when, you don't get the job or you've been recalled 2 or 3, 4 times and it still goes to somebody else, and and it's that's kind of difficult, but that's kind of that goes with the territory. That's kind of par for the course. But when my son was growing up, I had to turn down some really wonderful stuff that I so wanted to do, and it really, really rankled. And I wasn't particularly humble or sweet about that when I got home, believe you me, behind closed doors. But you just have to suck it up and get on with it. So sticking with it after that's kind of gratifying in itself.
I can definitely commiserate with you on that one because I have 4 children, and I'm trying to do a lot of the things that I would like to do. There's a lot of stuff that I cannot do.
Absolutely.
And a lot of opportunities that I have to pass by, and it's just, at the end of the day, what matters most is that, I'm a mom. Yes, I do radio, and yes, I do stand-up comedy, and I do
fantastic.
I do several other things, but at the same time, it's just I'm a mom, and so I can definitely see how juggling that, and it's like, well, I still have this dream, and I've done so much work to it, and having to pass something up like that. But what does your son think of you? What you've done?
I think he's quietly very, very proud, but he doesn't, he doesn't say too much about it. He's a beautiful man. I would say that, but he really is really quite an incredibly sensitive and astute individual. I'd say he was quietly proud, and he lets me know in little ways. So I've just got the one. Yeah.
And that is just fulfilling in its own right there.
Totally, absolutely, yeah. However much it hurt at the time when you have to say, thank you so much for offering it to me, but I can't do it this time. It was worth it. The result was worth it. So, and what goes round comes round. I firmly believe that.
And that is the epitome of success, if you could walk away and say it was worth it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Dee Dee, Were you a
Yes.
Doctor Who fan before you did Doctor Who?
I was just 3 years old. I'm giving the game away now, aren't I? When Doctor Who came out, and I believe it came out the day after President Kennedy's
JFK.
assassination.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, my son asked me where I was when President Kennedy was assassinated. I said, I can't remember. I'm just a bit too young. So I don't obviously remember the first episode, but I do
Right.
remember, I am old enough to remember William Hartnell. And I do remember watching it at my grandmother's, literally that old cliche of behind the sofa, but that's what... You couldn't do it in our house, in my house now, because the sofa's wedged against a wall. But I did watch it, and I absolutely loved the Daleks in a thrilling way. I'd squeal. I thought they were just the best thing. I don't know why, but I did. And wanted to be one. In fact, I think I had a Dalek toy. I remember my grandmother used to try and stop me from watching it, saying, "It'll give you nightmares, Deborah. It will give you..." It never, ever did. So I just took it in the spirit, clearly. In the spirit it was meant, which was a lot of fun and a lot of screaming and a great adventure until next week, you know. Yeah. So was I a fan? Yes, I was, because I used to watch it then, and then I moved abroad, so I missed out on Patrick Troughton, and when I came back to England in 75, I think that was the John Pertwee years.
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Yeah. But I remember watching Tom Baker and John Pertwee, and I was so in love with Katie Manning. I loved what she wore.
John Pertwee.
I wanted her hair. You know,
I
wanted her haircut. And my mother wouldn't let me have any layers in my hair, so that was a bit of a downer, but so I could easily say yes, I was a fan. And I remember when we all got cast in that particular storyline. I do remember going on location to this infamous quarry, and on the bus, the lovely, gorgeous Danny Peacock, who played Nord, Vandal of the Road. He came up the back of the bus where we were all sat chatting and singing and carrying on, and he said, "Would any of you do this for free?" And we all went, "Yeah, kind of. It's Doctor Who, isn't it? Of course we would." Yeah, we would. So there you go. Yes, wow. I'm a fan. I have to say, I haven't seen the show since Christopher Eccleston.
Oh no!
But that's only because I was busy doing a lot of theatre at that time. But I can't wait to. I'm hugely looking forward to seeing Jodie Whittaker.
Oh yes.
And isn't that costume fantastic?
Yeah.
Who thought that up? I think that is wonderful. I think I'd wear it. I want that coat.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I definitely want the coat. I definitely want the coat.
You know, actually,
it can't be a coat with a hood.
You know what? I have a friend who cosplays as the 13th Doctor. She actually did it at Galley. I think she actually had the coat made.
I think I know who you mean, actually. There were one or two of them, but one was absolutely... Did she have coloured hair?
Well, her girlfriend was dressed as Nardole one day. They both did...
Gallifrey Squares.
What's it called? They did Gallifrey Squares together.
Right.
I can find out like where they got the materials or what materials they used.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Actually, I think my friend who cosplayed 13, she's on Twitter. I could tell her, look, Shauna, contact Dee Sadler because she wants that coat.
I want that coat now. Please do, absolutely.
Well, maybe maybe not that exact coat, but yeah.
But something pretty damn similar. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
We'll work that out for you.
Yeah, I'll talk to her. I'll talk to her. I'll talk to her.
Very kind.
Coats for everybody.
Speaking of Gallifrey, the final panel.
Yes.
Oh, that was some panel.
It certainly was, wasn't it? Exactly. Yeah, it was. I had no idea that was going to happen. None of us did, really. I mean, quite gobsmacking, as they say in England.
The way that women are treated in the workplace, especially the acting profession, and other, because we did mention...
Oh, it's across the board.
Across the board, yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
But it's the actresses who are in a position that can speak out about it and get it on TV and on, get it out there to the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's important. And
it is. It's being addressed. I've been, actually, as I said, I was sat there thinking I was something of a minority because, looking back, unless I have expunged so much from memory, apart from that, there wasn't anything much. I've had it from other actors as well. Certain, undesirable behaviour where one is sort of in a position not to do really anything at the time. And you let so many things go, you know. I mean, and also as a waitress, you know, carrying a load of coffee cups and a big tray and, you know, a load of cakes or something. I've been, you know, groped and felt up by, you know, other waiters. It's just, it almost feels that happened far, far more and was kind of not readily accepted, don't get me wrong, but it just kind of, you just went kind of with it, you know, more in the 70s, 80s. I believe it was just kind of physical banter, for the want of a better phrase, you know. But yes, it was what was lovely. It is not nice, and I'm sure men come up against that as well, also in various guises. Yeah, what was very gratifying. I remember Sophie Aldred after that panel saying she was talking to a lady in the bar afterwards, who had that sort of listening to that particular panel gave her the courage to talk to her husband about what had been happening to her at work for quite a while. Yeah, so if it gave one person a voice, then, you know, good God, yes, absolutely.
And that brings up the topic of the Me Too thing that has been going around on Facebook. You know, it's definitely difficult to find a voice when things like that happen, because we fear the repercussions that could come thereof. And we fear, well, why are you just now saying something if that is in fact what happened? And that is incredibly discouraging, you know, and it's a matter of not just speaking out, but if you see somebody having a situation like that, you know, it's about respect. You are not entitled to another person just because you have a perception, you know, you might find somebody attractive, it's not entitle you to the person. So definitely like to thank you so much for speaking out on something like that, as influential as you are.
Oh, I bless you. It. Absolutely. Thank you very much. I mean, it was quite, it was really quite astonishing. We were all kind of stunned. I was going to say backstage, but backstage, I suppose you could say that, afterwards, and just kind of blinking, you know, thinking, God, what went on just then? But it was very emotional, and and I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad it happened. It happened in kind of in a weird kind of time stood still in a weird way.
Yeah, when Wendy Padbury told her story, I cried.
My God!
Oh my
Did
God.
you? Yeah.
I was shocked. I mean, I've heard these stories. I mean, and just when I heard Wendy Padbury talk, I was just like, oh my God, I don't even know how to react. Like I
know it's kind of, you can't quite believe your ears, can you? Really?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like I heard Sophie Aldred talking about how, you know, somebody was telling her, oh yeah, can you lose like a couple of pounds? And I just, and it's like for me, I mean, I made a face and I'm like, oh, bro, because I've seen that. Like I've seen that happen. I've actually had somebody tell that to me, because, you know, I did a little acting. I mean, mostly extra work, but I did have somebody be like, you know, if you kind of just, you know, maybe you lose a couple of pounds, maybe like go to the gym and stuff. You know, you could probably get some good stuff. And it's
Absolutely.
like, and it's like, I do want to exercise, but the subtext of what I was being told was, you know what, you're not hot enough for what, you know, it's
absolutely.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, you know, because if you're not hot enough, you don't get the good parts, you don't fit the bill. But if you do fit the bill, then now you're exposed to being almost property of other things, you know. And so either way you look at it, I mean, it's still like you go from, you know, from the frying pan and onto the flames.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember once, quite early on in my career, going up for a movie for a female director, and she was incredibly dismissive. And I wasn't that big, actually. I was about sort of 8.5, 9 stone, which really is, and I'm 5'6"-ish. And she said, she looked me up and down, and she looked at my then quite sort of minuscule CV, and she said, okay, so can you lose a stone and come back and see me in a month? And I went, yeah, sure, and walked out and said to my agent, just don't, ignore her. If she gets in touch again, just I don't want to know.
Wow.
Anyway, so, but yeah, absolutely. It's horrible, isn't it?
It happens
I mean, it is
on all
gross.
sides. Wow.
Absolutely. But, you know, hey-ho. It's not an
It's
easy
like-
business.
I do have a question because it's like there's always the stories of how awful a business it is, and then there's the stories of where you just walk into a room and just the look, it's like no thank you, or things like that. I mean, where's there the line between like, okay, they didn't want me because I'm not blonde, or I'm not tanned enough, and where does it go where it's like, okay, this is just ridiculous, that they're looking for this. I mean, where is that line? Where do you stop shrugging your shoulders and go, okay, this is just insane?
Absolutely. I think that's the point when an awful lot of people decide they want to do something else, less heartbreaking. But what the line is, I don't know. It depends who you are, how hungry you are for it, or,
Yeah.
Some people go into this business because they want to become famous, and that's fine. I think fame in itself is really quite a sad thing to yearn for. I always think it should be a kind of a byproduct of, something else entirely. But there you go.
You know what? It's funny you should bring that up, because I used to live in South Florida, not quite near where Mark lives, but like in the general area. And one of the last things I did before I moved away is I did a show. It was kind of a pseudo reality show. And one of the people I worked with, I became friends with him on Facebook, and he kept contacting me, wanting me to help him like hook up with agents and with other people. But he was like, yeah, I want to find that project that will make me famous. And it's like I kept trying to explain to him. I was like, dude, here's the thing. You don't know what will be the thing that will make you famous. That it doesn't work that way. Like, you just gotta keep working. And he's like with one of these things where it's like, I don't know if I want to do this project because I don't know how much exposure I could get. It's like, you can't do that, especially
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially if like you're just starting out, because there's no magic formula. There's no bippity boppity boop, you're famous. It's
Well, if you're anything like Iggy Matthews, okay, I got famous with the stand-up comedy because when it's like, all right, welcome everybody, Iggy Matthews to the stage, I got coiled up in the microphone cord and laid out on the stage, just okay. And I got up immediately. I popped up, and even everybody, like the announcer, I was like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, was that part of the stand-up? Like, no, it's not. Otherwise, I'd be standing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
power to you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but everybody was like, oh, you're Iggy. You're the one that fell on stage. Like, yeah, that was me. Thank you. Ass.
Stand up. That must be so scary. I take my hat off to you. I really do. I think that is just.
The key is don't think about it. Think about it afterwards. Don't think about it in the moment. Just afterwards. It's kind of like dealing, like picking up after your kids. They threw up everywhere. You don't think about it right there. Think about it afterwards.
Exactly.
Afterwards.
Yeah. That's the key. Excellent. I'd love to see some of your stuff.
Oh my goodness, it's explicit.
Is it? I love. Oh, that's brilliant. Good.
Well, it's mainly revolved around my husband because he's autistic, and of course, communicating back and forth in social cues proves to be difficult. So everybody seems to get a good kick out of that one. So at the expense of my poor husband. That's for him though.
And she told us a few minutes ago before you came on that she makes fun of me on the stand-up circuit too. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. My boss is riddled with crippling anxiety.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. We're gonna pause it right here. Dee, what is coming up for Dee Sadler? What can we expect to see you in? Or because we're heard around the world, so this is also for the people in England. And if you're going to be in a play, what's coming up for Dee?
What's coming up? Well, nothing as far as I know right now on TV, but that could change. Week to week. There's this play that's in the offing that I can't talk about because I don't want to jinx it. But I do write, and I am just currently, all my energies are going into finishing up a play, a murder mystery, that I got so stuck on that I brought in an actor-writer friend to help me with, and we are going to finish the first draft next week. So that's quite exciting.
Cool. Nice.
So I'm kind of, I've got my kind of writer's block head on at the minute, But apart from the you just never know in this business. I could get a call tomorrow, quite literally.
Right.
And that's what's so lovely about it. Anything can happen. Yeah. And you know what? It usually does. So yeah.
Okay,
Just
and
writing for now. Writing.
Oh, cool. And if anybody
I'm excited
wants
for you.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to reach out to Dee Sadler, you just go to @DD Sadler on Twitter.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do that.
Don't do
that.
@D Sadler because you'll get someone completely different.
Be different.
Yeah, completely different. You'll be talking witless to somebody, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, be careful not to do Dee Snider because that would be somebody.
Oh, Dee Snider would be Twisted Sister,
That's right.
and you don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, I actually would like to. I think I have it, Dee Snider on mine, and it doesn't matter. But okay, so Dee Dee, I want to thank you so much for
What a
coming.
joy.
Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
I did my Christmas shopping, and I got my girlfriend the Peter Capaldi crystal carving at DoctorWhoCrystals.com. And you should go there too. They've got official BBC licensed crystal carvings of all the doctors inside of a crystal carving of a TARDIS. They are actual crystal, and they are beautiful. They've got every doctor to choose from, and they're only $100. They're not that expensive. So do what I did and get your spouse happy by buying them a crystal carving from DoctorWhoCrystals.com. You know, I might buy the War Doctor one for myself.
April 1st, Easter Sunday, April Fool's Day, Mark Who 42's 6th anniversary. Mark Who 42 is going live one time only. Its final episode for now on April 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and 5 p.m. UK time. With special guest John Davey, the man behind the monsters of Doctor Who. Be there on either Spreaker Radio or the Mark Who 42 app. Links will go up as we go live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all the rest. Be there for the final episode, the live episode. Mark Who 42 goes live April 1st.
Hi, I'm Nick Briggs. I'm the executive producer of Big Finish Productions and the voice of the Daleks, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
And we're back with more of Mark Who 42. Guys, how did you... I mean, that interview went pretty well, I think. I enjoyed that interview. I like Dee, or Deborah. I don't know, because her real name, of course, is Deborah, but yeah, Dee.
You know what? I know her on Twitter as Dee Sadler, so I'm sticking with Dee.
Twitter is Dee Sadler. Don't get her confused with @Dee Sadler. It's @Dee Sadler. @Dee Sadler is someone completely different.
Oh my!
Although it would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool talking with him about Doctor Who if he's a fan and he's heard of
Yeah, no, it's another female. All right, it's time now for our convention report, and I think I'm going to let our good new friend of the show, Isaac, start her off.
Well, thank you. Thank you very kindly, Mark. I want to tell you about CalusaCon, Comic and Pop Culture event. It'll be this Saturday, March 24th, at the Calusa Nature Center and Planetarium. They connect people with nature at the Calusa Nature Center and Planetarium. This convention will be from 10 to 6. You can still get your admission tickets for $10. Kids free under 11. If you wait to pay at the door, hand the man the scratch at the door, it'll be $15. So be aware of that. Tim Proctor will be there. Chalet Lizette Brennan will be there. Some cool cosplayers like Gothic Sushi, friend of Mark Who 42, will be there. The Smokey and the Bandit's car, Bandit, will be there. I'm not really sure how a car fits as a guest, but it is a guest. So is the General Lee, but not the General Lee that oppressed General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard, the car with the 01 on it. It's a beautiful car. And Mark Who 42 is Mark Baumgarten. That'll be at CalusaCon, and he's going to run Whovians Anonymous. This is a panel that for you, the Doctor Who fan, you get to talk about what brought you to Doctor Who. And also, you get to talk about maybe a secret or something you never told someone about regarding Doctor Who. So, definitely go to CalusaCon in Fort Myers, Florida this Saturday, March 24th. You'll enjoy it. Now, I'm going to pass the mic over to Iggy, because Iggy's got a convention. She wants to tell you about a couple conventions.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mr. Isaac Jacobs. It's always a pleasure. Well, next Saturday, I will be at Ring of Fire Con. If you are in the Virginia Beach area, I will be there. My panel will be from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we also are going to be traveling to Nashville, Tennessee for MTAC, 18th Battalion Comic-Con, where myself, Norman from Keeping It Reals, and Shiley, she was part of the Stranger Things live show. We will all be there March 30th through April 1st. So we actually are really excited about this because we got a primetime panel on Saturday evening, 8:45 p.m. And immediately after our panel, it's the Nerd Rave. I'm so excited.
Whoa, wait a minute. Prime time? Does that mean it's going to be like Keeping It Reals and it'll be for the big kids, not the little ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's Be Reals is tailored to adult-only audience, so we definitely have the explicit tag on. MarkWHO42 has always been more family-friendly and gentle and sweet like that. We like to, we are the After Dark version.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool, After Dark. I like that.
And then in May, we'll be going to Tidewater Comic-Con here in Virginia, in Norfolk, Virginia, actually. So if you guys are around and nearby, I would love to get to meet you. Mm-hmm.
As Admiral Akbar would say, it's a trap!
No, it's not a trap. Hey, by the way, Isaac forgot to mention... Isaac forgot to mention that the Whovians Anonymous panel will be at 11 a.m. in the planetarium itself. We're going to do Whovians Anonymous in a planetarium. I think this is a first that Whovian Anonymous meeting will take place in the planetarium. And also, MarkWHO42 Books is going to be there selling Doctor Who merchandise, and we are trying to sell everything we have out the door. So come on in, and hopefully we'll have some great deals for you there.
Excellent. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited.
You should be excited. I'm glad you're doing conventions finally. I mean, I know you did a few, but you just started to do some more.
Yeah, like having the baby and then life and everything, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm getting it together, and then, on my own time, I'll be doing stand-up comedy again, because it's been highly requested, and everybody won't leave me alone about it, so fine.
Oh, you should do stand-up comedy. You're good at that.
It's just my life, and everybody's laughing at it. I mean, I try not to think about it too much, because then it gets really depressing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I think
Don't
Iggy needs a hug now.
You know, I think it's a cue to end the show, because we don't want to depress Iggy.
No, I get compared to, you're like a female Kevin Hart. Have you watched Kevin Hart? I'm like, yes, I know. He is my idol, okay?
A female Kevin Hart. So you're that short?
I am. I'm
in real life?
We're the same height.
Okay, I'm just saying, because she's short. He's a short man.
No, we're the same height. We are the same height.
You're the same height? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would tower
I also
over
like swing
both
my
of
legs
you.
when I sit on a bar stool. I swing my legs.
I tower over both of you. That's interesting.
Wait, Iggy, is that you're swinging over the stool? Do you do it Riker style?
I try to get like a nice menacing face, like nobody takes me seriously, because like Kevin Hart said, nobody takes you seriously when you're like swinging your legs on a bar stool. But at the same time, I can point with my toes and be like, you right there, you're done. Okay, I don't even have to use my hands. That's great.
Oh, see, yeah, that works.
You tall
that
people
works.
use your feet to plant yourself on. Yeah, lame.
Oh no, that works. Oh.
All right, any final words, guys?
Iggy, I was
Keep it real.
I've been watching reruns of Cheers on Netflix, because I realized I never saw the first few seasons because I was too young to really appreciate it. And I came to realize that you are Carla.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Carla Tortelli.
You are totally Carla. And now when I watch Cheers, all I see is you.
And
it's freaking amazing.
Knows your name.
Am I Sam?
It's me. It's Ty.
Am I Sam? I don't know.
No, you're more. No.
You do not call me Clifton. You do not call me Cliff. Do not call me Cliff. I'm not Clavin. I'm not. No.
Well, I don't know.
I'm Norm. Maybe I'm Norm, and that's why we're stopping the show. But I'm not Cliff.
Maybe Eddie is Cliff Clavin.
He's
got all those little bits of useless information.
Are you Diane?
And also Cliff harps on how great Florida is.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Oh my God.
Well, Patricia, I thought I'd be Cliffy because I do a pretty mean John Ratzenberger there.
God. Oh my
God. I don't know. I like to wear jackets, so I think if I
do you like to wear
jacket,
he sounds like he's trying to do Homer Simpson doing Cliff.
He is. Oh my
God.
He's got Dan Castanella doing Clavin.
Well, hey, you know what? If anything ever happens to John Ratzenberger and he can't do a Pixar cameo, then maybe they can call Dan Castaneda based off my impression, or maybe they could call me.
Maybe they could call you. And maybe pigs will fly.
Or, you could call me.
Oh, wait.
There you go. Maybe.
Wow. You know what?
Don't say that.
Mark.
I'm about to make some bacon and throw it out the window.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Mark. I mean, here it is. We're having a fun time, and then you got to throw shade. Thanks a lot. Okay.
No. I'm talking about the pig. I'm talking about the pig from Toy Story.
I actually would like to comment on the fact that Trish and I were the ones that taught Eddie that term of throwing shade because he had no idea what it was, and I am so happy to see you utilizing it and utilizing it properly at that. I am so proud of you. Okay.
And I'm so dismayed that you taught him that. I'm so dismayed. He did not need to learn that.
Yeah, because I think I mentioned something on Keeping It Real, and I was like, oh, Eddie's throwing shade, and he's like, I'm just sitting at my desk. I'm not throwing anything. I mean, I have lamps lit and everything. And I'm like, that's not what it means.
Ed, at least you learned something with Keeping It Real. So let's allow that. And just finally say we've got 2 more shows. 1 regular show on Krypton Radio and podcast, and 1 live on April 1st at 12 p.m. EST. That is 9 a.m. on the Pacific Coast and 5 p.m. in England. Yes, it is Easter. Okay? So, yeah, we're going live on Easter. But it's also
Easter. We don't know.
Yep. Easter and April Fools. Wow, that's a combo.
And the 6th anniversary of the MarkWHO42 Facebook page. So,
have you guys heard the awful jokes that are going around on Facebook regarding April Fools and Easter?
Well, no, and I'm not sure we should, but go ahead.
He has risen. Just kidding. And I read that, and I'm like,
that's no.
Who did that?
That's mean.
That's just wrong. And I'm Jewish, and that's just wrong.
Oh, that's just mean.
So have TARDIS will travel. You'll hear from us next week with Jessica Martin, Mags from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy on The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, MarkWHO42. Bye.
MarkWHO42 has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Iggy Matthews, Zion Kiros, and Trish Fryer. This episode was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten. Visit MarkWHO42.net, where you can register and become part of the Hooniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@MarkWHO42, subject line, ? You can have MarkWHO42 entertain at your next event or convention. Go to heroesonhand.com/MarkWHO42. Space Coast Comics is a free monthly magazine found in over 120 locations currently throughout Brevard County, parts of Osceola, Volusia, and Indian River County in Florida, and available in Chicago. Follow them on Facebook to learn more. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. MarkWHO42 is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten 2018.